All right, we have a Q&A on the CU podcast. This is from at Fred Gemus.
How do you think the current health crisis will affect the collector market for retro video games?
So you're forcing me to answer first when you have a better perspective on it.
You're a collector.
Okay.
I'm a retailer.
Yeah, but you deal with collectors too. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know the answer to this. This is going to be a very telling time because obviously there are collectors that some play and some don't. If there are people that look at their games and are like, well, if I don't have a job anymore, I need some income, I'm going to look to dump some of my games, then obviously the prices could potentially go down if they're looking to dump their games. If, Ian, again, they're willing to take an acceptable loss. Sure. Remember the adage you hate about I just want to get what I put in.
Yeah.
You may not be able to do that with collectibles, and that's something we always caution against, or anything for that matter. I remember my cousin had a fucking, what the hell was his shitty car he had? They stopped making the car a few years after he had it. He had this shitty car that he souped up and put it was like a $15,000 car from the late 90s. He put over $20,000 into
Jesus.
and the audio and the lights on it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was a crappy car that he souped up.
But he loved it.
It was one of those cars with like the oversized, I wish I remember the name on it. You would laugh when I told you. And then he ended up selling the whole car for like $11,000. So he put in theory like $35,000 into this car and he got back like $11,000. I think, being that he's a dumbass, I don't care if he hears this, I think he ended up selling the car to the guy who he paid to work on a lot of the stuff for the car. So like he lost money like 18 different ways.
Oh my God.
Just a dumbass. Dennis, what the hell are you thinking with that? Anyway, so the point is this, is that if I'm a collector, I might be looking to dump all my stuff, which if you're doing open auctions, maybe then the prices on some of this stuff goes down. Maybe a little Samsung price, which I'll look up, maybe that'll go down if even 30 to 40 collectors decide to put theirs up at the same time. I don't know. It's a tough thing to know about. If I'm a collector that still has a job right now and has income, maybe I'm looking to score a deal on a game, and this is where I'm going to look. It's going to be a buyer's market right now, in my opinion, if we're dealing with pure collectors. However, if people are stuck in, maybe they want to buy an NES and play it more. Maybe they want to buy a retro gaming console and buy some games for it. But we are in the era of the Sega Genesis Mini and the PlayStation Mini and the Super Nintendo Mini and the NES Mini. And I would just argue that most casual people would just buy one of those and be happy buying one of those and playing those 60 or whatever, those 50 games on the TurboGrafx Mini, what have you, and just be happy doing that versus that. I mean, I'm looking at eBay right now. People are still trying to get $1,500 for a little Samson. Best of luck in doing that.
Condolences.
$1,524. So last time I looked, I don't think it was that high. $1,649. No. Someone wants $1,000 for one with a ripped label. That ain't happening. I don't think right now in this market. I think that those days are behind us. So I think it's going to depend upon. We're still very early. We're still only like some parts of the country aren't even fully locked down. There's still a few states for some reason still struggling with this, but most of the country has been locked down for about 2.5 weeks now. 3 weeks. We're still fairly early. We're not going to get into the potential desperation part right now where people won't have to offload their stuff. By the way, 2 little Samsons went for $850, sold out of Mexico. Says they're authentic with board picks. So maybe that's going to, bring the price down. Oh, one went for $1,200, but that was March 24th. Again, from Mexico. I guess they found a stash in Mexico. That happened with the South American Dinosaur Peak stuff. That's where I got mine from. I think that a lot of them came from Chile for some reason. They all just dumped them down. Put them down to way South America. Send them to Chile for some reason. We don't want these Flintstone games here. Anyway, so again, this is going to be a push and pull between will people be willing to give up their quote-unquote investment in order to get some money versus just being willing to accept whatever. Maybe some people will be willing to, maybe if they spend $1,000, if I need the money, I'll sell my little Samsung for $500-$600 and sell it maybe fairly easily to a collector or to even a retailer that could potentially get more for. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Ian?
I think it's hard to say. It's early to say. I think that currently, barring any need for cash, it seems like people would probably be more interested in holding on to their collections right now in a time where they could actually maybe use them for something, passing the time. But I do think that for a lot of people, if this continues, if not to make this political, but if the government doesn't get shit together, if rent and stuff isn't frozen,
sure.
If 2 months from now things are still looking uncertain, I could see the video games being the first thing to go for a lot of people when it comes time to making money, and that will bring the price down if a lot of people start offloading stuff at once.
Sure.
However, right now though, I think collectors that are working are probably using this opportunity to add more to their collection. There's not much else going on, even if you are still working. Unless you're like Frontlines Healthcare. There's nothing to do on your time off. So to me, it would make sense that you would focus more on your hobbies. I could see collecting. I could see interest in it jumping up, at least in the short term, and then I think the short term response to it is going to be different than the long term response.
Sure. How do you judge this? Would you judge this by looking at the standards like a Mario Kart 64, where people might buy that more because?
No, I wouldn't. That's one right now that, if anything, is probably going to be selling for slightly more than it usually goes.
I just looked it up
because
let's see.
It's a popular title.
So people might buy that, be like, oh, I still have my college N64. I want to get Mario Kart again to play. I'm home with the kids, 4 players, bringing family together, 4 controllers that can play Mario Kart for something inexpensive. Mario Kart. And the reason I say that is because Mario Kart is one that's not too old, and people will still play it and have fun. And again, parents would have it right now for their kids, which is again depressing me because we're old. So right now, a loose Mario Kart. The peak of it overall, it looks like, was December 2016, $47. And then it went back $42 a year ago, went down during the year to, it dropped to $23 in August. It's slowly come back up this year. January was 32, February 31, March $36.50. April, it's at $40 so far. So that's a significant, that's a 25% increase in a few months.
Yep, all of these very popular games are going to immediately be more expensive right now.
Give me like a GameCube one that could be collectible, like a Mario Party.
I was gonna say, just look up a Mario Party 5 or something.
Okay, Mario Party 5.
I don't know which one on there is supposed to be the best one.
Mario Party 5, GameCube. It's been fairly steady. It's gone up a little bit though. It went up to $38.28 for, I guess that's complete and
check a Smash Brothers Melee.
Smash. Well, that one's a weird one because that's one has always been expensive.
Popular, right?
Yeah, but I'll check it. Loose. Right now it's 40 for disc, and then complete is 50. It's been about that for this. Actually,
right.
It's actually gone down. Loose. It peaked in December 2015 at $65. I guess when the tournament stuff started happening more. Now it's about 40. But complete. Let me click on complete. How do I click on complete on price starting here? Oh. Complete, it's actually, it went down to 35 in July of last year, and now it's come back up to 50. So
it'll be interesting to see in a couple of months.
What would be a good NES one to check that isn't too rare? Contra? That's always my one of choice. That's common, but that's always a popular one to check.
I'd say Contra, or maybe
Contra went down. Again, everything peaked in summer 2016 for a lot of these retro consoles. We know that. It was $48 in June 2016. That's insane.
It's nuts.
And it came back down to earth, and let's see. A year ago, it was at $20, which to me is more reasonable. It's set at $20 the whole year. For Christmas, it went up to $25. Now it's at $24. So it stayed around $24. It went up back a little bit. There definitely was a correction that happened.
I think in a month's time, they'll be more visible.
We'll be able to see if like people are selling their Dinosaur Peaks and little Samsons and things like that.
Also, just to see if people have settled into sitting around and playing games, and there'll be more data for the more popular stuff that people buy. Mario Parties, Mario Karts.
So looking like GameCube era, N64 maybe. Even Super Nintendo might be too old for it.
I think Super Nintendo and Nintendo at this point are getting too old. I have a feeling that most of the people who are in their 20s or young adults that are looking to sit around and play games are probably looking, I'm going to guess, GameCube Wii on 64.
Let me look up Mario Sunshine. That could be an interesting one, right? To sort of test.
Mario Sunshine was gone up in price, I think. But I think that's going to be a tough one because that game's been going up in price overall.
Yeah, but it went up a lot. That's a good. I'm glad I chose that one.
What's it at, like 60?
45 for loose. Wow.
That's nuts.
Oh, yeah, that one's at Christmas. Well, Christmas, it always goes up a little bit. We'll just say a year ago. A year ago, that was at Thank God for price charting. A year ago, April was at 45, and I just shot up from that Christmas
Is that
where
loose
it was
or
complete.
okay?
Now it's at 55.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense because we used to sell it for 40, and I think we just bumped it to 50.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's like obviously the Super Mario Brothers of the GameCube. So that's going to be popular for that. I played a little bit. I remember playing a lot. I should play some GameCube. Is probably the one Nintendo system I played the least out of all of them. I should probably play some GameCube.
It's a good system.
In case of a future book. But I should look into it. Plus the library's not too big, right? It's a few hundred.
It's not massive.
Anyway, I think that's an interesting one. GameCube era N64, I think will be what to look out for here in terms of like the common games to see how much they go up. But again, for collectibles, Dinosaur Peak. I'm almost like afraid to look to see where that's at. But let me see. Dinosaur Peak. Oh, people are trying to get $650 and $850 or best offer. Uh-oh. Have we finally seen the decline? $710, $700.
552 GameCube games in North America.
That many? Really? Surprised. Really surprised at that. So like almost double N64. Kind of shocked by that.
There was a lot of multi-platform system stuff on there.
Oh, that's true.
And after the N64, it wasn't like
a lot more third party.
It wasn't back to the way they used to be, but there was a lot more third party on that.
All right, one last thing. I'm going to check Dinosaur Peak sold prices because right now they're being listed unless it's a fake label. Is this a fake label for $650 your best offer? Oh, reproduction label. You assholes with the reproduction labels. I swear to God. It makes it hard for me to like see what the actual sales are going for at that point. Here, where's completed listings here? Here, completed items for Dinosaur. $900 for Flintstones. $565. Is that a repro label? That's a low one if that's not a repro label. Oh no, that's a real one. Wow, $565 with 18 bids. That's March 11th. That's before all this. Wow. Okay. But one sold for $1,100. That was February 8th. I think we're done with these high-priced Flintstones and Little Samson. I think we're done. I mean, I've been saying it for 2 years. I haven't seen them sell.
Sure.
Really, at this point, $1,000 for one in January. Okay. Well, maybe we'll see where we are in a month. Because I don't think we'll be back to work in a month. I think in Pat's non-professional opinion, I think we're going to see where we are in early June before we decide.
Where we're going?
Before we decide we're going to get back to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And with sports.
Well, I was just reading a forecast that said that basically that was... CNN keeps freezing. Basically, I was reading one that said that with social distancing and self-isolation continuing as it does, if it were to continue to August, they would reduce the number of deaths in the U.S. from like a projection of 100,000 to like 82,000 or something like that.
Sure.
And the number of beds needed would drop as well.
It's working though.
It's working. Yes. And it drives me nuts that there are people who are like, "Where's the problem? Where's the problem?" It's like, no, it's working.
If we weren't doing this, it would be, every fucking state would have New York City problems. New York City's a disaster right now because their dumb mayor de Blasio didn't react quick enough, and even 1 week was all she wrote by doing it. Fucking idiot. Yeah, we'd have a New York City, and every San Diego would be in New York City, LA would be in New York City right now if we weren't doing this. That's just the bottom line.
Vonnie said she was looking at something that was like trying to like track people's movement. It's creepy by their phone, but like looking at like cell phone movement and signals and whatnot, it looked like San Diego was doing exceptionally well in terms of people staying put. Compared to like other cities. But like if you look in the southeast, like Florida and whatnot, like people are constantly moving around.
I heard something creepy, but from a semi-reliable source. Obviously, take this out. This isn't conspiracy theories, but according to the data, I forget, it was some Chinese app data that there's a lot less users than usual. Obviously, China has not been entirely forthright with what's happening. That it could be a lot worse there. We don't know.
Oh yeah.
A lot more deaths. They're trying to not, they don't want to be worse than the U.S. in this case. It's like, well, the reality is going to come out at some point. If you're lying about massive people's, deaths, you can't. It's not going to be a secret forever. I'm not saying for sure. I'm just saying that's something I heard. Like they're starting to look at stuff like that, like the app, like the same thing. Like how many people are using these apps? It shouldn't go down precipitously, and it has for whatever it was. But again, I don't want to be propagandist, but that's something I just heard. Take it with a grain of salt. We're still in the very, very early days of this, unfortunately. And we're going to be here for at least a couple more months. But the good news is that It seems to be plateauing a little bit in some countries, and the worst might be behind, but that doesn't mean that there's not going to be a fucking... The plateau just means the bad period isn't getting worse. That's all it means. Yeah. That's all it means. It's still a bad period. It's just not getting worse anymore. You got to ride out that crest still. But apparently that's what's kind of hopefully happening in Spain and Italy right now. And we're like a week and a half behind them overall, depending upon the area here. So, but we're doing okay in California. We're not adding as many cases versus our population that we should. It's kind of miraculous when you look at our statistics. If you guys want to look at this stuff, I use worldometers.info. That's a pretty reliable one. They update like hourly, if not more, on all the stuff going on there. So, anyway, sorry we got on a tangent, but this is our lives now. This is the reality. So,
this is what we do.
This is what we do.
What we do.
It's what we do.